Hello, welcome to Nine's Wide World of Sports and the highlights of the first match of the Spencer & Hedges World Series Cup, Australia and New Zealand. A special welcome too to New Zealand viewers who are with us for the first time this summer. This is a key game as far as these two teams are concerned. They're likely to fight out the second place in the Spencer & Hedges World Series Cup competition because I believe England will be too strong for both of them when it matters and are almost certain of going into the final. So Geoff Howarth's side and Kim Hughes' side, Hughes captaining Australia for the first time today, have everything to play for here today. Here's Tony Greig out in the centre now with his pitch report.
Well, it's nice and pleasant out here in the middle this morning, and the pitch, it's the same one that was used for the test match at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. And that's good news because I think one-day wickets, when they use the old ones, bring them up again, they are probably the best wickets to use in one-day cricket. And notice how the cracks are very small and little circles there. In the test matches, of course, the cracks were quite wide and quite long, but this has been brought up fresh for today, and it seems to me to be pretty flat and quite hard on the surface. Just having a look closely at the pitch there is a little bit of dampness right in the surface, but the ground staff have clearly tried to get rid of as much of that as possible, and it's quite firm as well. There's a sort of clonky noise to it as you smack it on the ground. The moisture reading, well, that's quite high, 79%, and that's almost as high as it was for the start of the test match. So perhaps if there's a criticism to be made, it would be that perhaps just a little bit too damp underneath the surface. After all, the pitch has only got to last for a day, and I don't really think it's going to change too much in that day. So really, what the captains do, I don't think really matters too much.
Thanks, Tony. Well, that sounds as though it's going to be a good pitch. Ian Chappell is out there now with the two captains, Kim Hughes and Geoff Howarth.
Tails from Geoff Howarth. Head it is. Okay, Kim, congratulations on your selection. You couldn't get the captaincy at a better time, I guess.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it, Greg, and Ian, particularly to have Greg as vice-captain in the side. That's great, and, you know, the series is going to be a very, very interesting one. I think it's important that we play well.
Okay, let's hope for a good game today. Jeffrey, you've got a good side. What about the preparation for playing in Australia?
Well, Ian, we've only had one game, and then, you know, that was a couple of days ago, and so I don't really think it's enough for the particular competition we're going into. It's, you know, it's an international competition against two very good sides, and you know, perhaps we're a bit underprepared as far as that's concerned. But we're not grumbling, or moaning at all. You know, but I think just we've just had a little lack of preparation.
You might get a pleasant surprise here, I think, with the wicket. It's played quite well in the test.
Well, yes, we played on the new strip against Victoria, and I was quite impressed with the evenness of the bounce, although it's not bouncing too high or anything like that. But the evenness of the whole thing is very good, and we were quite impressed with it.
Okay.
But see how this one goes.
Okay, good luck, Jeff.
Thanks, Rashid.
There we are, Kim Hughes winning the toss and sending New Zealand into bat. Back to Richie Benaud.
Well, that's a nice start for Kim Hughes to win the toss in his first match with the full-strength Australian side behind him. We pick up play now in the second over, just one run on the board. Geoff Thompson is the bowler coming into Bruce Edgar, and in the commentary box it's Ian Chappell, and with him is Frank Tyson.
Over pitched there, and Bruce Edgar gets the scoring moving off the bat. 3 runs to Bruce Edgar.
John Wright takes strike now to Geoff Thompson.
It's a fine shot from John Wright. Very well placed and comfortably beating Rodney Hogg into the mid-off fence.
Thompson over-pitching. And it really was right in the slot for the left-hander because it gave him enough width outside the off-stump to execute that favourite off-drive of his. And he hit it very firmly indeed. Straight off, mid-off. And a long chase there for mid-off. Up goes the bat.
There's the bouncer. That's gone over the top of Rodney Marsh's head, well over the top in fact, and through to the boundary, hitting the sight board which constitutes a boundary. That was a very fast delivery from Jeff Thompson.
Lawson to Bruce Edgar.
And just going wide of Kepler Vessels. But he may have just got a hand on it.
Jeff Lawson comes in now to bowl to John Wright.
A slashing cut there from John Wright. Over the top of Gully. Crashes into that third man fence. It really was well timed, that shot.
John Wright takes strike now to Jeff Thompson.
Doesn't make any difference because he finds a gap through cover. Comes down that delivery. Puts it back middle and off. Racing out to the boundary for 4 runs. It's a glorious shot. I just wonder, Fred, how John Wright would handle the in-swing it to him from off the leg with that stance.
Carl Rackerman comes in now, and John Wright has taken strike.
Oh, that's a beautiful shot. High in the air, over the top of the infield. 3 bounces into the boundary fence at square leg.
Carl Rackerman hasn't played a lot of cricket of late. And that's John Wright's 50. A few New Zealand supporters out there, and they're very happy with the proceeding so far that's occurred this morning, but Carl Rackerman just straying onto that leg stump again. And right, beautiful shot from him. Big hit that. Just a couple of bounces into the boundary.
Another beautiful shot. Beautifully timed. John Wright is playing magnificently. That's another 4. That's 9 fours. 36 of his runs have come in boundaries. And he now has 54.
Well, this wicket at the MCG came in for a lot of criticism last season. And certainly New Zealanders probably couldn't believe the transformation in it. Print out of John Wright's strokes. None through, really through the cover area. A couple through mid-off. He's very, very strong there. Big pull on the onside. And one clipped back with a square leg.
That's in the air. This could be out. Dyson's underneath it. He won't drop it. No one. John Dyson takes the catch, and John Wright out going for the big one to square leg. He got a bit of a top edge on that. It went high down to Dyson, who's fielding right on the boundary in front of the member section down there, and he doesn't drop many in the outfield.
And what an amazing over from Carl Rackerman. 12 runs off it, and now getting the wicket of John Wright. Just going away offside. He went for the pull, got a top edge, and John Dyson took the catch of the year last season, catching it right underneath the chin. But John Wright, certainly a very good innings from him. He's given this New Zealand side a great start. And he's out for 54, 1 for 84. Rackerman to Howarth. And he's out, caught and bowled. Carl Rackerman striking again from second wicket. Jeff Howarth not quite to the pitch of the ball. I don't think Carl Rackerman could believe it when he accepted that return catch from Jeff Howarth. So that's a great breakthrough by the big Queenslander. Just pitching, just short. Got a great deal of movement with that front foot of Jeff Howarth. And Carl Rackerman just bending down and taking quite a simple catch. So this has been a good breakthrough for the Australians, as Howarth is out, caught and bowled Rackerman for 5, and New Zealand 2 for 89.
So Crowe now in, and Rackerman the bowler. Footholds there. That's driven beautifully, and Thompson won't reach that one. Right off the meat of the bat again. Oh, when the New Zealanders have hit them today, they've certainly stayed put.
Greg Chappell to Crowe.
Oh, that's in the air. It's going out towards third man. In comes Lawson. He'll catch that. Yes, he does. Another big breakthrough there for the Australians. On that occasion, Crowe trying to whip the ball on the onside, getting a top edge. It's spooned up in the air down towards third man. Lawson came in and made no mistake.
Jeff Lawson likes taking catches. This MCG took that great outfield catch to the Smiths Cowans in the 4th test, and this an equally good catch. Coming in, summing it up. Very difficult to take those elevated catches when in this bit dark background. But unfortunately for New Zealand, they lose another wicket.
So Jeff Crow out for 7. Greg Chappell strikes and 3 for 98.
Rackerman comes in to bowl to Jeremy Kearney.
And there's an edge. Rodney Marsh has taken the catch, and Carl Rackerman has picked up his 3rd wicket. Delighted Carl Rackerman. And a pretty thrilled crowd here at the MCG. Plenty of Australian flags. Jeremy Kearney, caught by Rodney Marsh.
Yes, just a nice fine nick there, and umpire had no hesitation at all in putting the finger up. And now New Zealand are 109 for 114 for 4.
Chappell to John Morrison. There's a man down at deep backward square, but that'll do no good. It's gone over the fence on the first bounce. Just behind square. That's a good shot from Morrison.
4 for 128 as Rackerman begins a new over, bowling to Edgar.
And he's out LBW. Yes, and I think he knew it too. Even though he had his back half turned to the umpire, Bruce Edgar quickly sneaked a little look from a lowered glance and found that umpire Rex Whitehead had given him out LBW. That looked, from here anyway, as though it would have hit middle.
Self-conscious Edgar there as he tries to whip that ball away on the leg side, hitting across the line of the ball, and that ball, I would say, would probably have hit middle and leg. So another good piece of bowling from Carl Rackerman to dismiss Edgar, 5 for 128.
Greg Chappell bowls to Peter Webb. It's the 3rd miss for Rodney Marsh, not a missed catch, but the 3rd drop standing up there. 5 for 134. That's gone. There's a big deflection. A big deflection. And the 6th New Zealand wicket goes down with John Morrison out. Caught Marsh. Old Thompson, useful delivery.
I gave the impression that ball was angled in, then cut away slightly off the wicket, or perhaps did not come in as much as Morrison expected. He was playing inside the line of the ball, and as a result got that thick edge. The Australian flags wave as Morrison departs. He is out 6 for 134.
Thompson to Richard Hadley. Tremendous reaction from the crowd here for Richard Hadley, who last night was saying he was looking forward to all these Benson Hedges World Series Cup matches at peace with the crowd, but he is one who first of all has the respect of the crowd because he's a great player, great all-round cricketer, and secondly can occasionally get them in because of his attacking nature.
Hadley goes for the big hit and he gets hold of it. A big hit. 1 bounce, 2 bounces into the fence. The crowd who gave Richard Hadley a fairly hostile round of applause as he came to the wicket. Picked it up beautifully.
Thompson to Webb.
Scamper through for the single. Hadley just there. If that had hit the stumps, it would have been very close. He was late putting his bat down.
Not only was he late putting his bat down, Bill, but he was very slow backing up. See Jeff Thompson deliver the ball and Hadley practically in the crease. And I think if Kim Hughes had hit the stumps, Hadley certainly would have been out. Would have been out by a yard or so.
Jeff Lawson to Richard Hadley.
That's a big hit. That could be 6. That's a massive hit. Dyson coming around. That's a beauty. 8 rows back over the long-on fence on the Melbourne cricket ground. That is a mammoth hit. And Hadley taking to Jeff Lawson, the man of the series in the test matches. Beautifully timed on drive.
A huge hit from Richard Hadley. He has this capacity to pick the right ball to hit. And he plonked it right into the member stand, back about 8 rows. A beautiful hit.
Peter Webb now facing Rodney Hogg.
Webb's got hold of that, and that's a good shot. He's pulled that forward a square. Races out to the boundary. That's a good shot. Off Thompson. It was dug in. It was inside the line, and he hooked it square.
Lawson to Peter Webb.
Webb goes, he's bowled in. trying to drive. Ball pitched by Rawson. Good bowling. Webb enticed into the big hit down the ground. Too quick for him, through his defence. It was a clean bowled by Rawson.
Peter Webb obviously encouraged from that previous over when he hit a boundary, looking for the big hit again, and that's just what New Zealand didn't want. They wanted someone to stick around with Hadlee, someone to play a dour type of innings. Instead, Webb looking for the big drive, paid the penalty, and a good delivery from Jeff Lawson. It was up around about the stumps, and Webb out-bowled Lawson for 9 and 767.
Holt to Hadlee.
Hadlee dives, could be out that pad. Hogg thinks he's out. Umpire Rex White, it doesn't. Nor does Hadlee. Oh, the crowd roar. Hogg very confident there. So was Rodney Marsh as he ran up to congratulate Hogg.
Rodney Hogg made a lot of ground then. Richard Hadlee looking to put him away in the onside, had a quick glance. And Rodney Hogg, he got up there, and look at him. He was wrapped, didn't even bother to look around whether he was trying to bluff the umpire or not. Only Rodney Hogg would know. Certainly doesn't look as though he hit it.
Hadlee on strike. He's hit straight. What a good hit. Straight down the ground. Thompson coming around. Doesn't cut it off. Beautifully timed straight hit by Richard Hadlee. He's got the big crowd in his hands now. They're cheering every strike by this super all-rounder.
Anything that's just outside off stump, just likely to put it away as he did then. Just a couple of bounces and into the side screen. Jeff Thompson fielding down there, only about 15 to 20 metres away from that shot. It gave him no chance whatsoever to get across. Tremendous power. He's what New Zealand needs now. Big innings from him.
Hogg's bowling flat out. Not good running. Lance Cairns not back up. There's a chance of one, but beautifully back. Chance to run out. He's gone. Hadlee will be gone. What a tragedy. Yes. Oh, dear. Never ran off a misfield, but what a super bit of fielding by Kim Hughes backing up there. The throw was wild, wide. He threw himself. Made a great save. And Hadlee couldn't make it. His hands kept coming. That was a super bit of backing up by the Australian captain.
I just mentioned to Bill Laurie off air before. Richard Hadlee hasn't been running too well this morning, but there's certainly a single in it, I think, for the starters, Bill. But no response from Lance Cairns. But then the mishap. An old adage in cricket, you never run on a misfield. And Kim Hughes throwing it to the bowler's end. A lot of pressure on Jeff Lawson. It wasn't easy to take, but he was right behind those stumps. And out goes Richard Hadlee, striving for the crease. And what a great breakthrough and a let-off for Australia, getting Richard Hadlee run out for 24, and now New Zealand 8 for 173 with 8 overs remaining.
Holt to Cairns.
To get the throw in.
Oh, and he's dropped him. That was a great effort by Hughes, diving away to his right there and getting a right hand to it. Had he caught it, it would have been a beautiful catch.
This would have been a magnificent catch if he caught this. He's dived once again to his right, and he's done all the hard work. He's got there, but just can't hold on.
Last ball of Hogg's 8th over. And it's a great catch. Rodney Marsh has got it. A thick outside edge there from the bat of Snedden, and Rodney Marsh makes no mistake. He caught that, perhaps 3 or 4 inches off the ground, and it was going down and very quickly.
Great catch by Rod Marsh. As I say, the thick edge. Rod Marsh. One hand covering first slip. Beautiful catch. And just look at the smile of satisfaction on that man's face. And that is now 9 for 181.
Lawson now to Lance Cairns.
That's hit high and down the ground. Hooks is underneath it. This will be out. He's got him. So David Hooks running around there from deep mid-on. Takes the catch in the outfield. And Lawson looks pretty happy as he runs down the ground. So 2 wickets to Lawson. 28 runs coming from him. A good catch by David Hooks down at deep long on.
Lance Cairns just got a little bit too much underneath that delivery, but David Hookes moving into position, eyes on the ball, makes it all look oh so terribly easy, and puts the ball in his pocket as he runs away after making the catch. Just getting a little bit high on the bat there for Lance. Cairns not quite in the middle, I think that might have gone over the fence, but David Hookes, he makes it all look so easy and then puts the ball in his pocket. The second wicket for Geoff Lawson. Beautiful piece of cricket, just the hands there, the eyes on the ball, the hands cupped, and takes it absolutely superbly. Beautiful catch that. Puts the ball in his pocket. That's the end of the New Zealand innings. The David Hookes stand. The Australians, as they leave the field, must be feeling very pleased with themselves in the finish, because New Zealand, with the great start they had, Australia must have been thinking there's 250 coming up there, but not to be.
Well, that's a complete disappointment for New Zealand to be out for 181. Even more of a disappointment is the fact that they used up only 44.5 overs. A tragedy that, with Cairns the last man out for 7, and after such a marvellous start, with Wright and Edgar adding 84 in 68 minutes from only 16 overs. Richard Hadlee run out for 24 after that misunderstanding with Lance Cairns. That was very difficult for him. He had to get round Cairns, and he was only 3 or 4 inches out, but that is enough. A very difficult decision and a good one for umpire Whitehead. 181, and the bowling figures for Australia. The best bowler was Rackerman, 4 for 39, best both in wickets and in the way he bowled. I thought he was in great form today, obviously recovered from his injury. Lawson, 2 for 28, Thompson, 1 for 39, Hogg, 1 for 32, and Greg Chappell, an accurate 10 overs, 1 for 22. So Australia needed 182 to win at 3.64 per over. We pick up play now in the first over. No runs on the board. Richard Hadlee is the bowler from the members' end. He's coming in to bowl to Kepler Wessels, and in the commentary box, it's Ian Chappell and Dennis Lilly.
It's a good delivery, that one from Hadlee. Moving back into the left-hander. A very confident shout from the New Zealanders.
Very good ball. It swung back into Kepler Wessels, but I think it hit him high on the roll of the pad and probably was going over the top. But worth a shout, and right on line right from the start.
Strong appeal there from Hadlee and the New Zealanders, but that one was going down leg side.
Just hit the second set down leg side then, but certainly not the set of stumps that is standing up there at the moment. And it was enthusiastic appeal, but certainly nowhere near out.
John Dyson now faces Chatfield.
That's better batting. The push and run, although there is a bit of hesitation. But Kepler Wessels just sneaking in there for the single.
Beautiful quick piece of fielding, but Wessels well in, grounded the bat and well past popping crease as the ball hit the stumps.
Snedden to Wessels.
The edge going through about third slip, but it's going to beat Chatfield into the fence and the first boundary in the Australian innings.
Should be 2 there. Chatfield has to come around. Looks onto the practice pitches, a very fast area. That did race away once it got onto that very closely mown area there where the players practiced before the match.
Martin Snedden. A bowler and a player with a great deal of tradition. Both his grandfather and his uncle represented New Zealand in Test matches.
Shout there from keeper, but that flicked off Dyson's pads on the way through to Peter Webb. That's a better shot from John Dyson. Racing away to the cover boundary.
Dyson's second boundary of his innings, and by far the most confident shot he's played throughout the course of his knock. At times against Richard Hadley and Chatfield, he got a little bit rattled when the runs weren't coming. On one occasion went for the drive and just lofted it wide of the hands of mid-off. That's the first one he's really hit in the middle, and that must give him a tremendous sensation of confidence. Captain Howarth is allowed more latitude with the setting of his field at the moment. He cannot have more than 2 men outside the circle.
Great stroke that. Lance Cairns has been tying Kepler Wessels down on leg stump, as indeed has every other bowler. But you just do not give him that one wide of the off stump unless you've got some protection away back on the offside.
This was the bowl by Snedden again.
The shot starting to flow now, Kepler Wessels, but only outside the off stump.
And that excellent off drive brings up Australia's half century. So we've seen a game in which the openers for New Zealand and the openers for Australia have both put on the half century before being separated. Wessels now on 23 off 46 deliveries, and Dyson gaining in stature as every ball is bowled. These two seemingly bent on taking advantage of the loose balls served up by Snedden and Cairns.
And that'll be four as well. Could be right at the bottom of the bat, or it could be off the heel. In fact, it's off the heel. And the score really racing along now. Snedden to Wessels. And beaten the field again. Well, whatever pre-match plans New Zealand may have laid at their team meeting last night, they're certainly not bowling to them at the moment. They started off doing it perfectly with Hadley bowling superbly to Kepler Wessels.
New Zealand captain has gone pretty defensive now. It is Jeff. Now slips. And you can't bowl there. You can't bowl there to this fella. Wessels, no way. Leg and middle's the only place to tie him down. You bowl somewhere around about that off stump and it's bingo. He hits it superbly through there.
Especially at that pace, slow medium pace, wide of the off stump. Wessels front foot right across and found the gap. Glorious cover drive.
Cairns to Wessels.
That's a great shot. Kepler Wessels off the back foot. Found the gap. Races out to the point boundary. That's a glorious shot. Great play of the loose ball was Kepler. It was just a fraction short. He was back quick when he found the gap. Slow hand clap for the New Zealanders. Close. Notices Rex Whitehead. He had a good look at that. The in-swinger.
Coney to John Dyson.
Coney bowling with the in-swingers. That one's hit straight down the ground. Beautifully hit by Dyson. That'll be six. Yes, just over the top and take it in the crowd.
And a big hit from John Dyson. Hadley to Wessels.
It's in the air, but there's no gully, and it's racing away down to third man. It's four. Well, this outfield's very quick, and once that had got on its way down towards the boundary, there's no way it was going to be cut off, and that brings up the 100 for Australia.
And we've seen two good opening partnerships today. First one between Wright and Edgar, and now Kepler Wessels and John Dyson bringing up a 100 partnership. Edgy shot from Kepler Wessels, but there's only one slip there. And once it found its way through that vacant area, it ran away very quickly.
Wessels again drives straight through Edgar. He hit that one very hard. That happened to Border earlier on in the day, and it's gone for four. That's a beautifully timed shot, that by Kepler Wessels, and That ball brings up his half-century.
Kepler Wessels was all at sea early on in his innings, but the shot to bring up his 50 was probably the shot of his innings. Beautiful cover drive. It's hit with tremendous power, found its way through Edgar in the covers, and 50 for Kepler Wessels, 102 minutes, 72 balls faced.
That's a good delivery. And again, there's a mix-up, and this could be a run-out if he hits the stumps. He doesn't. Dyson said yes, Wessels came, and there was a mix-up. They eventually went through, and had Dyson had his stumps knocked down directly by that throw, I think it was from right, he would have been out.
Yes, a real schmozzle then, Tony, the running between the wickets, a hesitation. John Wright came in. He knew that as soon as he picked it up, he had plenty of time to assess the situation, and his throw just missed the stumps. But John Dyson certainly would have been struggling to have got in.
Chatfield to Kepler Wessels.
Oh, there's a mix-up again, and another try at the stump.
A few problems with running between the wickets. Unfortunately, the keeper not taking it all that cleanly and then dropping it before he took the bails off too.
Hadley to John Dyson.
He's hit that over the top, straight down the ground. That's a beautiful shot by John Dyson. 3 bounces into the deep mid-on boundary.
1 6 and 3 4s for John Dyson in this innings. Picked that one up nicely, just short of a length from Richard Hadley. No outfield, perfectly safe shot. This outfield at the MCG, very quick at the moment. Melbourne going through water restrictions. Not a great deal of length in the grass out there. Good shot by John Dyson.
Hadley wouldn't have enjoyed that. And that too, straight down the ground. The ball running away, and once again down to deep mid-on. Will it get cut off? No, it hasn't. So consecutive 4s there to Dyson, off the bowling of Hadley, and the Australians loving it. That also brings up John Dyson's 50. And what a tidy knock it's been.
A very good double for the Australians. Firstly, Kepler Wessels getting the 50, and followed very quickly by John Dyson. Another good shot. Hadley coming in, straying onto the middle stump, and Dyson straight down the ground. Split the mid-off and mid-on fieldsman right in the middle.
John Dyson now faces Chatfield.
Dyson going over the top, or attempting to go over the top. John Wright is underneath it and makes a real mess of it in the end. Had plenty of time to get there, but made a real nonsense of the job in the end. And Dyson was able to pick up 3 runs from that shot. Australia none for 123.
Snedden comes in now to Kepler Wessels.
Jeff Crow has a ping at the stumps, and that gets through the fieldsman attempting to back up. That's John Morrison, and it results in 5 runs for Australia.
Well, it was certainly worth a throw. Would have been a very near thing if he'd hit the wickets. But unfortunately for New Zealand, resulted in 5 instead of 1.
Coney to Wessels.
Magnificently placed shot, and that's been one of the highlights of Kepler Wessels' innings today. He's placed the ball beautifully through the offside. That's his 9th boundary, and his innings also includes a 5.
Snedden comes in now to Kepler Wessels.
Once again, Kepler Wessels picking that gap in the offside field. It's been very strong there. That's his 11th boundary. Brings up the Australian 150. None for 152.
And he's done him. That's the spot. It's just like an action replay, Martin Snedden. After all this time, someone's got one through, I think, via bat or pad onto off stump.
Well, if Kepler Wessels is keeping a record of the number of times he's bowled off his pads, then I think he must be just about filling the first page of that record book. because again he is bowled with the ball flipping the flap of the pad, going on to the leg stump, but nonetheless Wessels has made a valuable contribution to this Australian total, which stands at 1 for 154.
Snedden, and John Dyson is taking strike. That's a fine stroke, beautifully timed. Good footwork that by John Dyson, and perfect timing. Coney to John Dyson. Richard Hadley. Great effort. That's the most difficult of all catches, and I think he just got his fingertips to it. I'd like to swear to it because he has his back to us here, but you'll get a better view of it as you watch this replay. No, didn't quite reach, so we can't put it down as a chance. Just bounced a matter of a couple of inches in front of Richard Hadley. Snedden to Greg Chappell. Chappell's gone. Only a handful of runs needed, and Greg Chappell goes. Caught and bowled Martin Snedden. Dyson is 71 not out. 182 is the target, and it's now 2 for 168. Dyson takes strike now to Hadley. Beautiful stroke by Dyson. Hadley just strayed down round about leg stump there. It was a glorious shot. So Jeff Howth is marshalling his forces now. There'll be some post-mortems in the New Zealand camp this evening because Australia already have batted for more overs than New Zealand, and they haven't reached the 182 needed for victory. New Zealand having gone through only 44.5 overs. Here's Bill Laurie now in the commentary box, and with him is Fred Trimm.
Thank you, Richie. New Zealand were always 20 runs short. Actually 30 runs short. They didn't carry through what they promised when they made that marvellous start. From John Wright and Bruce Edgar, 84 runs on the board in something like the first 16 or 17 overs. Played some superb cricket. And then I'm afraid that the New Zealand middle order batting fell away. At one time they must have been thinking in the region of 230 to 250 the way they were going. And in the finish they struggled to get to 181. Just picking up a quick single there. And in the process, New Zealand didn't even use up their full 50 overs. They still had 5 overs and 1 ball left when they were all out for 181.
That's true, Fred, and also their fielding's been mediocre today. A little bit sloppy in the field. Quite a few overthrows, several chances of run-outs gone begging. One drop catch by John Wright. Didn't get his hands to it, but should have been caught. So overall, a disappointing day, which started so well for them. It's back to Hughes, who gets a thick outside edge down to Hadley at third man. Ewan Chatfield was by far the best of the New Zealand bowlers. 10 overs, 4 maidens, no wicket for 18. Martin Snedden has chipped in for the 2 wickets. Lanscan 7 overs, 1 for 26. Attempted sweep shot by Dyson. Very slow in swinger.
An attempted leg break built by the look of things from Lance Cairns. It bounced 3 or 4 times before it got to wicket-keeper Webb. Sometimes you watch Lance Cairns, he does drag his fingers across the seam of the ball in an attempt to bowl what I would term as a genuine leg cutter. He did it again there. Just rolling the fingers across, trying to snatch something out of it. I think that New Zealand will be terribly disappointed with this effort because they did everything so well. And then the unfortunate run out that took place with Whitby Hadley, just when they seem to be fighting their way back into the game. The old saying, don't take runs on misfields, and it proved the undoing of Hadley. Another run there for Kim Hughes. Australia 2 for 177.
And Richard Hadley from the members' end to the Australian captain. He's 2. Oh, he gets it away nicely off his tail. He's picked it up over square leg, racing out to the boundary. Edgar gives chase, but that's a good shot. New to the crease, Kim Hughes picked it up beautifully. Hadley just strain reached 43,000 people here at the Noble Cricket Ground today. Australia played very well.
Good shot this by Kim Hughes, drifting down the leg side with a bit from Hadley, and then he picked it up and over the field that had been brought in to try to stop the quick single, of course. And good cricket by the Australian captain.
Well, the rate figures for the crowd were fed for 45,137, so that's a tremendous crowd here for this first game of the Benson Hedges World Series Cup.
Yes, they really like their cricket down here in Melbourne, Bill, and it's a wonderful response to this first game. And the New Zealanders I'm sure out to impress in this first match, to let them know that they're a good side and let themselves down a little.
The turning point in the match was when Carl Rackerman picked up John Wright. They were no wicket for 84, and then Rackerman struck 3 times after that. Edgar, Howarth and Coney, and that broke the back of the New Zealand batting. Then on it was a procession, and they were all out for 181 off 44.5 overs. Didn't really give their bowlers a big enough target. Australia 1 run to win. Hadley the bowler, going for it, scampering through, and it's there. Victory by 8 wickets for Australia. A very good start for Kim Hughes, the new Australian captain. And that's a good effort by his team today. They were in trouble in the first hour. They hit back. A very good opening stand by Dyson and Vessels. John Dyson carrying his bat. The first wicket fell at 154. The wicket of Vessels for 79. Chappell fell at 168 for 3. And then they carried on the victory, and the captain congratulating John Dyson for a fine knock.
Well, no better way to start off a new captaincy career for Kim Hughes than to have such a comprehensive win over New Zealand. I thought he did very well in the field this morning, because New Zealand got away to a great start with that opening partnership of Wright and Edgar. 54 and 38 to those two players, and that was a splendid performance that had 84 on the board in only 16 overs, and it looked as though they might run away with this match. And then Hughes marshalled his bowlers and set his fields well. He was out of the 15-over restriction at that stage. New Zealand went on to 181. Some fine bowling from Rackerman, 4 for 39, and Lawson 2 for 28, and Greg Chappell 1 for 22 from a full 10 overs. And then Australia rather, needed just 182 to win. They made it in the 47th over. Tony Greig is ready down in the presentation area now with the two skippers and the player of the match.
Thank you, Richie. Well, the Australian Cricket Board have allocated $5,000 out of their Benson Hedges sponsorship kitty for this particular match. And the $3,000, first of all, goes to Kim Hughes, the new Australian captain. Congratulations, Kim. Great way to start.
Yes, it certainly was, Tony. I've got a feeling, though, it's going to be a lot closer than that in the other games. But fellas played well today, and I thought our batsmen, did justice to the wicket, which I thought was magnificent.
Well done, and good luck up in Sydney on Tuesday night.
Thanks very much indeed.
Right, well, Jeff Howard's been good enough to come down and collect the loser's cheque, $1,500. Not quite as good a start as you might have liked.
No, Tony, a bit disappointing. Obviously, we got off to a very good start with John Wright and Bruce Edgar, but I'm afraid the middle order let us down a little bit, and sort of 180-odd to defend is a bit difficult, but there's another 9 games to go, and we'll be there somewhere at the end.
Your next match is on Thursday night against England,
yeah,
so we look forward to that.
Okay, Tony.
Bad luck.
Thank you.
Right, and the man of the match, the $500 plus the magnificent Benson & Hedges gold goblet goes to John Dyson. Congratulations, John.
Thank you, Tony.
There's the $500.
Thank you.
A not-out big score in one-day cricket. Lovely.
Yeah, very nice. So I wanted to be not out at the finish there, especially when we got off to such a good start. And
well, a lot of pressure for the openers this year, a few pushing for selection, and that must have given you even more satisfaction.
Oh, yes, there are a lot of good players around Australia, but I think that Kepler and I have played fairly well so far. We're just starting to develop that understanding.
It's a fantastic performance today. Congratulations once
Thank
again.
you.
Right, that's all from the presentation area. Back to you, Richie.
And a great start for Kim Hughes and for the Australian side, having regained the Ashes from England in that fascinating series. Now they're one up in the Benson Hedges World Series Cup. Just a reminder that the Australians made 2 for 182 after New Zealand had been dismissed for 181.